Today we're going to talk about disassembling motors. In this case, it's an L59 LS motor. I'm D, and this is D-Mod's Garage. So what we're going to do first is take off the wiring harness. You should get familiar with labeling these parts so you know which sensors are which.
How would you label it, with a piece of tape that's got writing on it?
Either that or you can get a label maker. I suggest getting a label maker because they stand up a little bit better. They don't wipe off. They don't tear as easy. They make a lot whenever you deal with cars, especially if you're doing wiring and that kind of stuff, because this way you can label both ends if you're putting in new wires and you're not getting confused. When you're talking about motors, it refers to the way that it sits in the car. So in this case, this is the front of the motor. So this would be the right side, this would be the left side. This is on the top of the motor. Whenever you get a new motor and you're questioning it, keep it upright the way it was in the truck. So this way, when you pull the oil pan, you can check to see what's in the oil pan. This way it'll give you an indication of if there's chunks of bits in the motor. If you flip it upside down, all that stuff's going to fall up, and it doesn't mean it's necessarily going to fall back down. It's the throttle body. On this one, this is an electronically controlled throttle body. So on these, there's a plug here and a button. All you do is press the button down, pull it out. So a bunch of you might be going, yeah, but I don't have a drive-by wire, I have a drive-by cable. In that case, this is a drive-by cable. This is the IAC motor. It's known as idle air control. It's also called an IAC by older mechanics generally. This is the throttle positioning sensor. So on this engine, after you unplug the throttle body, the next thing to do would be the next thing down is injectors. On these particular injectors, these are the flex fuel injectors. There's two little tabs inside this plastic clip. If you push them together while pulling up on it, they'll release. In this case, I'm just using a basic dental hook, and then inside there's a little on this plastic piece, which is part of the plug. If you get up underneath it, you pull it out and they pull right out. Would be the first injector and the second injector. And then you have the coil pack. On these, you just pull this blue wire, lift these up, and pull them apart. Like I said, as you go through these, you should be labeling them. Also, I say label them. In reality, generally, if you know basically where the wiring harness goes and you can throw it up in there, all the stuff will fall roughly where it's supposed to be. This is the MAP sensor. MAP sensor stands for manifold absolute pressure. Next thing, and all it is, it's another one. You lift the plastic yellow, or the gray plastic clip and slide it off. In this case, this one's broken from when we pulled it. Because this is an LS3, so it's a 24 tooth engine on the reluctor wheel, which we'll show you. This is the cam sensor on these. These are on the back. Gen 4s are on the front on the timing cover. This is the oil pressure sensor, because the computer actually needs to know the oil pressure. It's another one. You lift up the clip, pull it out. Same thing with the cam sensor. Pick it up, pull it out. The O2 sensors were bent, being pulled out. These are the O2 sensors. This one will have to be replaced. This is the other O2 sensor. It's in the exhaust on the driver's side. Next is the coil packs. And it has the same plug. So you pull this little blue plastic piece, lift up, disconnect. And then you unplug the injectors. Next is the alternator. You have a plug here on the alternator, and this, which is part of the emissions, depending on where you live, you may be able to remove this and make the computer work just as well. The crank sensor is behind the starter on the right-hand side of the car. In this case, it's actually missing, but it needs to be labeled when you pull the harness. The harness comes out and goes underneath the front of it. There's 2 bolts that need to be removed. There's no way to tell if a sensor is bad because it's electronics. The only way you can really tell visually is if it's bent or broken. If you found this helpful, smash the subscribe button and then get out in the garage and do something.